Da-da! Welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to share with you my home birth story. And please don't mind the noise, there are kids, some neighborhood kids playing around, so if you hear the noise, this is going from outside. My little girl is sleeping. So I wanted to share with you my home birth story in Africa, in Senegal, in Ziguinchor. So some of you who are maybe already pregnant and waiting for your baby to come, you may be inspired. You may also know that you can have an unmedicated, natural home birth with no complication at home, even in your 40s. So this is how amazing life actually is. So I'll start. When I got pregnant with my daughter, I was 43, and I gave birth when I was 43. And I want to say that because it's so important that sometimes people think just because you're in your 40s you cannot give birth or there's complications and things like that. I had an uneventful pregnancy, meaning that I didn't have any complications. Like I've mentioned in other videos, the two doctors that were following me, and there are two doctors because I was living between two cities. I'm still living between two cities, in Casamance and in the big area of Thiès, Mbour and Ziguinchor are the two cities. And so both of the doctors basically said that health-wise I'm good to go. I'm cleared for a home birth. And that's the go, that's the thing. I have the go from them. After that, I started preparing for the home birth. I already started preparing when I was in Canada because I wanted to have a home birth there. And since we moved here to Senegal, I basically had some of the books that I had already purchased. So I was already knowing my birthing kit, what I needed in there. And basically I got them to make sure I could prepare the bed, have the thing for the baby and stuff like that, everything I needed. And if you're interested, I can make a video about what I have in my home birth kit, because now it's my home birth kit because I'm open to receive as many babies as I can until that window closes. And so I have something that's prepared specifically for that. So I didn't ask my doctor, and the doctor didn't require me to have anything because I told him I already watched the videos in terms of my house. I know how I'm going to protect my mattress and have some of the things. And then the doctor and his team, the midwife, also had their own medical things that they were bringing. So some of the stuff that, for example, I bought my own reusable menstrual pads. I had my own, but they also had pads for me that they give to clients anyways. So I also benefited from that, but I wasn't waiting for them to bring it to me. I already had it in my own kit because I'm thinking better to have more than not enough, right? In terms of the pregnancy, it fell on the perfect moment because I was on the verge of finishing a project at work, and so I was able in my first trimester to go part-time. And that's very important because my first trimester I was so nauseous. If you saw my video when I was talking about my son and my pregnancy with my son, it was a breeze. In terms of symptoms wise, I was healthy. I didn't have any symptoms at all. I didn't have any breast hurt. I didn't even go pee frequently during the first trimester. I had no nausea. So I thought, oh, getting pregnant is just a wonderful stage. You and the baby and life goes on. There's no interruption. It's so beautiful. And if somebody would have told me, oh, I'm dreading a pregnancy, I would have been so amazed because my experience of being pregnant was so great in terms of me and the baby not having any symptoms. But with this baby, immediately when I got pregnant, I started being nauseous. I started having to go frequently, even as early as 4 weeks. I had to go frequently pee at night, and I was nauseous morning, sometimes the afternoon, sometimes at night. So much so that I couldn't really eat much for most of the first trimester. And this is why I have to talk to you a little bit about the spiritual aspect, even though those are meant for the separate videos, just so you can understand how I kind of navigate that. And if you listen to my other video, and I should put it somewhere, where I talk about my pregnancy with my son and pregnancy as a initiation of some sort, you know that I talk to the baby and that the baby gives you messages. And because each pregnancy is different, the message I got from this pregnancy and the process or the journey or the experience of this pregnancy was very unique. So even though I was nauseous for most of the first trimester, going to the second, I couldn't eat. At night, I would dream. My dream consisted of me going back to certain souvenirs of mine, memories where I would be at work and I would just have my lunchtime being reviewed. You know, there were a little restaurant where I used to work in Canada, and I would go to like this Vietnamese shop and eat either the pho, the soup, or the the banh mi sandwich, chicken sandwich. And so I started having those dreams where it was just not my whole day, my eventful whole day, but just my lunch break where I would go and sit down and start eating. And then the moment I finished eating, I didn't even see when I go back to my office, the dream will just end. And it was just like that almost every single night. I would just be dreaming of food I used to eat here and there until one night my husband was like, "What are you doing?" And I was looking online on some recipe, and then he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I'm watching somebody else eat." And he said, "You're not eating anything. You spend your day not eating, and now you watch other people eat." And I said, "Yeah, this is I don't know, this may be a way of me feeling a little bit better, because that first semester I lost 5 kilos, 10 pounds, and so I felt like I didn't understand what was going on, basically. And when my husband would say, "I'm so hungry," I tell him I'm hungry, and then it's like we make something to eat, or he brings me something to eat, and I'm just like, "Oh, it smells funny." I can't eat this, it smells funny. Or I will taste something, I was like, "Oh, it tastes funny, I cannot finish eating this." But I'm hungry, right? So there were many nights where all I would eat is just like a few pickles I could take, and then this French dried sausage and crackers, and that was it. So there were nights where I would literally go to bed and be hungry. I feel like I want to eat, I'm hungry. But when I open the fridge or he brings me food, I'm just like, no. And then what he was gonna bring me, he's like, "I bring you some pickles." I'm like, "I guess so, pickles it is." And then one night it just occurred to me, because I started telling him, I don't understand why I'm always dreaming about. I was dreaming about eating couscous and gombo. It's like a Cameroonian dish, but there's many different versions. In most African countries have this dish. It's a gombo, a sauce made out of gombo, the same gombo that you have in jambalaya in Louisiana, but without everything else that they put in it. I'll talk about this in another video if you're interested in that dish. But the point is, I will see myself eating those things, and then I tell my husband, I keep dreaming about these different dishes, and my husband was like, "How come?" And for some reason, when he said "how come," and I'm like, "Oh my God, I get it. The baby's telling me what I'm supposed to be eating." I was kind of like, a light went up, and I was like, "This is the baby telling me. This is what the baby doesn't want me to eat, the other stuff. The baby wants me to eat what he's showing me in my dreams." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So I told my husband, I said, "Okay, tomorrow," because of the nausea, I wasn't able to go to the market because of all of the smells. Even in Senegal, I wasn't even able to go on the balcony because of the random smell that will come by, and I will feel nauseous. So I just stayed inside. Once in a while, I'll try to walk outside, but most of the time I'll just stay inside because I couldn't take the different smells. So this whole time, my husband had to go to the market to get, and do grocery shopping, basically. And he was such a champion helping me and holding down the family. So the next day he goes to the market, he roams around, he gets everything for the gumbo, and he brings it home. And I remember I was just like piling that gumbo to make the sauce, and turning the couscous, I was like, with my big belly, or big belly starting, turning the couscous, the corn fufu. And then so I made that, and for the first time, after, 4 weeks of not eating well, I was able to eat. And I was able to go to bed that night feeling full and satisfied. That was the first night I was like, finally, I'm not going to bed feeling hungry. And then that night I had another dream of some other food. And so I started telling my husband, okay, we need to get the ingredients to make the pho, the Vietnamese soup. We need to get this from the Cameroonian dishes. We need to get this for the chicken biryani, the Indian dish. I also had a couple of Chinese dishes. I mean, because I've always ate very diverse from different culture, I had so many different recipes. So my husband went and did all the shopping, and then I started just making those things. And from then, I still couldn't eat a lot, but I could eat enough that I felt satisfied. And I felt like a bit worried in the beginning, because I was thinking that I'm not eating what is going to be the consequences on the baby. I don't want that to have an impact on the baby. But at the same time, when I was with my son, my normal weight is about being 142 or 145 pounds. That's my ideal and the weight I've been most of my adult life. And so after the pandemic, I got a little bit of weight, and after the last miscarriage, because I did have 2 miscarriages before getting this pregnancy, and I could go into that if you like to know more. But that enabled me to me, even though I'm not overweight, I was like I was overweight for my taste. So that can also balance, because I was thinking, okay, I'm not eating that much. The baby is eating my reserve, and I'm living off my reserve. And then when we went to see the doctor basically checked the baby, and the baby was growing normally, no issues, no problems, anything like that, measuring even taller than she was. I think she was measuring 2 days ahead. So that was the most challenging portion of the pregnancy, with the nausea. But then when the nausea was gone, I continued with, I didn't have the food dreams anymore, but then I already knew the craving was stronger. Like, I was eating gumbo and corn fufu, I think every week or every other week, like very frequently, let's say. It was a staple. There are certain food that I will eat regularly. And that was before I even did any type of research about this food to know what was in there. Because the pho is very, very nutritious, the Vietnamese pho, with the beef broth that I made from scratch. I made everything else from scratch but the noodles. The gumbo sauce that we make is also very nutritious, with the corn fufu that's done fresh. All of the meal, even the biryani chicken, with all of the spices, bring me so many minerals, plus the turmeric in there, the pepper and all the stuff. So it gave me a lot of nutrients that was perfect for the baby. And it made complete sense. When I researched the nutrient content of this food, I understood that, okay, the baby is really eating what she needs. She's really ordering the stuff that she really needs to be healthy and grow well. And that was the case during the whole entire pregnancy, until the 38th week, when the doctor said, oh, she's perfect, no defect and everything like that, and her lungs are completely well formed, so she can come at any time. And I think that's really a blessing. So by the time she said she could come at any time, we had already started discussing, my husband, how to prepare for the birth. I had ordered a few books, so there are books, and I could share, if you'd like to know some of the books, I could share that with you in a different video. And there were a book in particular on the Bradley method that I found that was very helpful. I watched a video of somebody on YouTube who said that she found it helpful for her home birth because it helped her manage the pain. So I thought, oh, let me order that book. And by the time the book arrived, I think I had a month before my due date. So I didn't have time to read the book in depth, but I said, let me just go through it and find the chapters and the information that's going to be most useful to me, so I can curtail what my husband needs to focus on and what I'm going to be focusing on for the birth of the baby. And indeed, I find some very good information. My husband basically focused on two things. One was the position, helping me make sure, checking me that I'm in a good position. Is the position that you use to relax when when labor starts, basically, and you're having contraction, and you in the dilatation phase. And then the second was some breathing exercise that I found helpful, that my husband, we practice, so that if I was out of sync, he could gently remind me, take me back to where I'm supposed to be and the rhythm that I should have to breathe slowly so that the baby gets as much oxygen as possible. And those two were key for us, and we just concentrated on that. We didn't do the whole thing. I read most of the chapters that I found was most pertinent, and I found also some of the information was very useful in the sense of knowing what is happening when the contraction is there. And I love the analogy that they do between the contraction and a wave. That a contraction is like a wave that goes through your uterus, and that this wave, instead of you don't surf against the wave, you surf with the wave. So you don't fight the contraction. On the contrary, you relax as much as you can to let the contraction do its work. And that really clicked with me. And I say, this is something I need to practice, this is something I need to do, that I am capable of doing. And I sense that this is something that's going to be very, very useful and helpful. And the second item was also knowing that during the contraction, the baby is also working to come out. So a lot of time when you take birthing courses and stuff like that, they act as if the baby is just there being pushed, by the contraction, and the baby doesn't do anything, when the baby is also actually actively working to come out. And to me, it just made sense, because I talk to the baby all the time, and I would be telling my baby, let the birth be go on very well, smoothly, don't hurt me when you come out. I also told that to my son. I was like, please, when you come out gently so you don't hurt me too much. And both of it worked. Even with my daughter, she was head up on one of the ultrasound, visit to the doctor, and we had a few weeks before she was supposed to come. And I went home and I told her, you need to be you need to start coming into position. Not only did I tell her that you need to turn around so you're in a good position to be able to come out the best way possible, and at the same time I went and I researched online what is the best way possible for the baby to have the most space possible to turn. It was for me to be on my knees. So I went on my knees every night for at least 45 minutes. I was on my knees. And I was sometimes just laying on top of the birthing ball. And yes, it worked, because at the last scan before the birth, she was right where she should be, head down. And that's something I always stress, even with my first pregnancy. I say, you as a mother, talk to your baby. Don't just let the doctor tell you, you have a breech baby, and then you say, poor me. Have you tried talking to your baby, asking your baby to move, asking your baby to switch around, and giving the baby the room to do it? Because it could be easy to just leave it and say, the doctor told me the baby is breech, and I'm scared and this and that. Also, there's nothing wrong with a breech baby, because I watched videos of women giving birth with breech baby with no issues, without having to have a C-section or no complications. So I'm not saying that there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm saying, if this is something that you're concerned about, talk to your baby about it, and give the baby the opportunity to do something if the baby can, especially if the baby has room to turn around, and room and time is even better. But at least take that chance, talk to your baby. This baby is part of you, talk to it. And I hope in my course on the spiritual aspect of pregnancy, I'm going to emphasize this, because you have a relationship with this baby, and it's not just that the baby is feeding off your body and all that, how people want to say it's such a burden, you share your body, and it's also a spiritual bond that you have with this baby. This baby is there to listen to you, and the closer you listen to him, imagine if he's already listening to you while he's in the womb, just imagine when the baby comes up. Even my son, we may disagree on certain things, but he will still listen to what I have to say. Even if we continue disagreeing, but he will listen, and I know that he listened because later on he will tell me something that will show me that he was listening to me. Even sometimes teenagers, you think they're not listening, but they are listening. They're actually very, they have a lot of empathy, maybe, even though they may seem distant. And I think part of that, the bond that you create between you and your child, part of it is due to how you are with your baby in the course of the pregnancy. The attention that you give the baby to show the baby that you have all of your energy and your attention to this baby while it's there, and you want to give him everything and the best that of you as a mother to this child, and preparing its coming to this world. So yes, make sure you talk to your baby if there's anything, even if they tell you, oh, you have high blood pressure or diabetes or whatever, gestational diabetes, and you were healthy, you had nothing before. Please ask the baby to monitor that, because my daughter, even though she was, even when she was in the womb, even if I would have wanted to, I couldn't drink anything that was too sweet. That was even sweet. Let me tell it like that. The only thing I could bear was certain fruits that were not too ripe, that was not too sweet. And if I would drink something, even some juice, some freshly pressed juice, only juice that I could drink was grape juice, grapefruit juice, orange juice, and all of that have to be diluted. Any other juice, I couldn't, store-bought juice, I couldn't do it. It was just way, way, way too sweet. The test bud for sweets was just off the chain. I couldn't. So the whole pregnancy, very, very low in sugar, naturally, because of the taste that I had in my mouth, like the change of the taste. The baby just wouldn't let me. And for me, it's a great protection because I didn't have gestational diabetes. I didn't have eclampsia, preeclampsia that they claim is more frequent in people in their 40s, women in their 40s. I didn't have any of that. And to me, I attribute that not only to the fact that I was healthy, but also to the fact that hormonally the baby was also having an impact on the likiness for sweets and things like that I would have normally have. I didn't have that during the whole pregnancy. And so when we did the different tests for diabetes, gestational diabetes and what have you, came back perfect. And for me, it's also based on the dialogue that you have with the kid, how the kid can help your body also monitor. Another thing was that I also had to have a supplement of progesterone as a prevention in the beginning of my pregnancy, the moment I found out at 4 weeks that I was pregnant, simply because I had a miscarriage right before, and we were fortunate enough to test the product, the conception product, the fetus, and there was no genetic abnormalities. So the next step was when the doctor said it could be because of a low progesterone during the early phase of pregnancy, and the moment I found out, then he put me directly on supplementation. And I agreed because the ovule for progesterone that he gave me was non-intrusive. I just put it once at night and that's it. It doesn't go all the way on my body. It just has the effect that it's supposed to be having, and that's that. And I was supposed to take that for just a short amount of time for the placenta to take over, which was I stopped at the ninth week. So I was on progesterone supplement from week number 4 to week number 9 of pregnancy. So 5 weeks in total, about a month. And then after that, the placenta took over, and I was perfectly fine. The baby was perfectly fine. Yeah, and the miscarriage that I had was due to some microorganism called, I don't have the name in mind, something hominis. And this is a microorganism because I started researching about this and I had never heard about this thing before. And my husband either. And apparently what we could find out was that this microorganism can be present in the body and doesn't cause anything, but sometimes due to stress or whatever factors which is unknown, it can be linked to infertility. So some people who have issues with miscarriages oftentimes when they tested for this particular microorganism, they found that it was linked. There was a link, even though they don't know if it's a causal link or anything like that. And it took 2 rounds of antibiotics to get rid of it. And then after that I got pregnant, and then we made sure, now it was the low progesterone we supposing happened. So, and then the pregnancy, the baby was fine, I was fine, and that was the only, like I said, the 5 weeks, that's the only medication that I took. The rest of it, I just took my normal supplements, prenatal vitamins, and then ate a lot of salads, a lot of different vegetables, and then the prescription from the baby telling me specifically I needed to eat this or that, and cooking those meals kept me healthy. And by the time she was 38 weeks, the doctor was like, she's perfect. If she comes out now, she'll be able to breathe on her own. Everything is completely formed, and she can come at any time. And before that, we already started preparing for the home birth. So the doctor, because we knew he was going to be in Senegal, the doctor started telling us to meet with the midwife that were going to be there with him. So we had kind of like a meeting with them, exchanging a little bit. And the midwife are they really have a different type of mentality. I have to do a separate video about that. But at the end of the day, it was just that the doctor had to step in and just say that the birth will go according to what my husband and I had decided, which was interventions are only to be done if they are necessary. We don't want anything that's preventative or that they think is going to prevent something that doesn't happen, that could not even never happen. Only if you must do it, then you do it. And then we want to know what possible things you may be doing. And then we were on the same page with the doctor, so we continue. And I had no issues. I already had planned. I already had prepared the thing that I needed to protect the mattress and the bed and all of the birthing kit that I had found online, that I have viewed different videos, figuring out what I would need in this particular context here in Africa, because it's really hot. So you have to tweak some of those different things. And then the doctors and his team were going to bring some of the stuff themselves, like on the medical aspect of it. Aside from that, I had planned for my brother, who's a chef, to come over 10 days before the birth, the due date, so that he could, be my private chef for a few weeks and cook some of the dishes, made me some postpartum dishes as well, some traditional Cameroonian dishes too. And then also my parents were supposed to come a week before the due date, so they could be there to see the baby when it's born and spend some time with us also. My mother-in-law was going to come after the baby was born because they're still abroad. So yes, so that's what we prepared for, and we just went along. I also had a chat with my son, who's a teen, explaining him that we were going to have the birth at home, because you kind of have to prepare your kids for that. Just going to work what's going on. Oh, mom is giving birth here. And I have to say that initially when we told him that we wanted to have a home birth, he was scared. He was more scared for my safety and the baby's safety. But we explained to him, I showed him a couple of videos, and then he was like, and we also told him that if he didn't want to be there, he didn't have to. He could go with my grandparents the time that the baby was born, if he didn't want to be at home. And then after we explained to him, he was okay with it. He said no, he wanted to be there in the home, not present in the room, that he didn't want, but he wanted to be at home in his room, and then when the baby is born, he could come out of his room and see the baby and everything else. And that's what we did. And he was very, very supportive. Many times when I was nauseous, my son would come and check on me. Every day when he come out from school, several times, sometimes during the day, he would come to check on me to see if I need something. Some night he would cook dinner. He will help out, do the dishes and things like that. Very, very, a very, very wonderful boy, like a wonderful teen. I think his contribution to our family during this time made my pregnancy easier, and I'm very, very grateful for that. Now I'm realizing I didn't necessarily mention this in the French video, which I should, because is also an expression of gratitude toward my son. So I'll make sure I put this in another French video for the other people to know. And for those of you who are bilingual, you probably noticed I didn't mention this. But so anyways, so I'm going along. The due date is coming up, and I have my last appointment. The day I have my last appointment before the week that I'm supposed to be having the due date. So that morning I woke up and I feel a little bit strange around like 9. I go to the bathroom and I see that I have like a brown discharge. And I knew immediately what it was, because with my son I had the same brown discharge, and it's the mucus from the cervix that is coming out. That means there's something going on. So immediately that morning I text my doctor and say, hey, I have the mucus plug that's coming to show. So I'm just gonna chill, hang out, spend the day, because I was supposed to see him that afternoon around 4. So I just tell him, well, I'll see you at 4, just to let you know. And then I think an hour later the contraction started. Very, very light contraction. Didn't bother me at all. They were very, like, I think at least like 45 minutes or 15 or 45 minutes, I don't remember exactly. So I just texted him to say, you know, I'm starting to have contraction, nothing major, so I'll see you this afternoon. And then I went about my day and I was fine. I just told my husband as well, so my husband was well aware. And then my husband said, you know, he's gonna go to work and then come get me for the appointment so we can go to the doctor. So by the time my husband comes to get me, we go to the doctor's office. I'm starting the contraction a little bit stronger, but still nothing major, nothing, you know, that's bothering me or anything. We go to the office, we chit chat a little bit, everything is fine. I say, you know, I saw more of the mucus plug during the day, but other than that, I'm perfectly fine. So after that, he wanted to examine me. He examined me, and then after he does, he's just telling us. He looks at me and he's like, "You guys need to go home right now." And he's just like, "Yeah, it's this is something that me and my husband, I don't remember him saying this, but my husband swears that the doctor said the baby is coming fast. It's coming in a few hours." And in my head, I just heard the doctor say, "Hey, you need to go home." And for some reason, I thought, "Oh, maybe it's today, maybe it's tomorrow." So that's why when I relate this, my husband is like, "What? The doctor said it's in a few hours." And I think maybe it's my pregnancy brain or whatever. I did this to trick me so I would stay relaxed. I don't know. So of course he basically tried to reach the two midwives that we had seen before that was supposed to be there. One was unreachable, maybe already assisting another birth, and then the other one was going to meet us at home. And so he took another midwife from the clinic, and this midwife, even though I hadn't sat down with her, this is a midwife I see every time I went to the clinic, so I kind of knew her already. And so she came with him, and then by the time we got home, we got settled, the other midwife came, which is like the French midwife that he had introduced us to, and basically he had to leave. So he said he's leaving, and then when the time gets closer, the midwife will call him and he'll come for the birth and then, you know, do his thing. So until then, I just went in my room. In the morning, I already had made the bed, so the bed was prepared, because I said, you know, if the plug is coming to leave, the baby's going to come at some point, better for me to have the bed already prepared so that the mattress is protected, because I was going to give birth on my own bed. So when we come back from the doctor, I asked my husband to check me, because I went to put in the relaxation position, because the contraction were getting stronger, and the contraction was getting so stronger that when we were on our way back to the house, I'll have to really stop everything and just breathe while the contraction were there. When you know, my husband stopped the car, I got out of the car and I started walking super fast, super fast, and then I will stop just to breathe while the contraction is there, and then I will go super fast. It looked like a video game. And then in the same inside of the house, I will rush to the hallway, then I will stop and then breathe and then rush to the room so I could move as fast as possible to get to the bed. And when I got to the bed, I just lay down in the position from the Bradley method. My husband came to check me that the pillow were in a good space, and then I just relaxed and I started kind of like taking it up, basically. So the midwife, when she came, she let me, sleep, I think at least half an hour. After that, she came in and she asked me, if I needed anything. I said no, the light was off, I was in my dark place, I was just relaxing. And then she asked to check on me. So when she checked, that's when she told me that when I was at the clinic, the doctor checked me and I was dilated 4 centimeters. So when she checked, I was 6 centimeters. So she's like, oh yeah, it's going well, it's going well. And then she asked me, oh, are you in pain? You seem like you're okay. I'm like, well, for now I can handle it. I think I'm gonna take another nap. And then so I just sat there and napped and just being quiet and nice. And all of a sudden, it's as if I was awakened from the pain, and me who was thinking, oh, maybe I slept through the birth. No, I was awakened from the pain. The contraction were super intense. She came in and she was like, "Are you 8 centimeters? If you feel like pushing, don't do it. Call me in. I stay right there." And so I called my husband because I said, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna have to push soon, and that I'm not fully dilated yet. So I told him there was a trick in one of the book I had purchased. I saw like a trick to help with dilatation. I asked him to help me do it, so we did it. And we had already talked about this before, so it wasn't something that I'm asking on the spot. So we did it, and then the midwife came and I was fully dilated. And then I told her, I need to get up. I don't want to stay laying down. Now that I'm dilated, I'm going to feel like I'm going to have to do something else. So she asked me what position I've intuitively felt like going into. And I asked, and I wanted to be on my on all fours, on my knees. And then I felt like, oh, this is not going to be comfortable because I don't know how long I will be in that position. So I asked my husband to bring me the birthing ball, and basically I laid on top of it. And I lay on top of the birthing ball, and I just breathed through the contraction. And the midwife came in, she sat next to me, and I was also much more fully dressed. And then I felt like, I think I need to push. I think this is now. And this is important because when I had my first son, it was in the clinic, and I was on my back. And I remember I didn't have this instinct to push. I remember the doctor having to tell me, you need to push. And I wasn't not medicated, I didn't have an epidural, I have nothing. And yet he had to tell me, okay, push now, push, So for this birth, I really wanted to have, to be in tune in my body in such a way that I will know instinctively. I will know when it's time for me to push. So I was ecstatic when I had the feeling like, I need to push now. And then she's like, yeah, go ahead. And I started pushing, and the image that came to my mind was like I was pushing a tennis ball. I was feeling like a tennis ball. It wasn't excruciating, painful like it was with my son, where I felt like, okay, like I can't take it anymore. It was more like, okay, let me push this ball, and then I felt like, okay, the ball is passed. And she's like, yeah, the head is here, the head is out. And then I was like, thank God. And then she said to me, you don't have to wait for another contraction for you to push the rest of the body, just do it. So I was like, okay, which I shouldn't have. In hindsight, I shouldn't have. But I said, okay, and then I pushed, and then the rest of the body came, and she came right out. So in 2-3 pushes, she was completely out. And I'm saying that I shouldn't have pushed without the contraction, just because there is a flow. The contraction is there for a reason, for you to breathe in between and send the oxygen. And I just, in hindsight, I think I shouldn't have listened to her. This is also something about this particular midwife, because she sometimes wants to intervene, wants to do something instead of just letting nature take its own course. So for example, when I'm starting to push initially, something is coming out, and it's the water bag. And so she tells me, she's like, your water didn't break, you want me to break it for you? And I was like, hold on, because I had another contraction, and I pushed, and then it broke on its own. And I said, you see, you don't have to. And I just felt the liquid, come out. So I shouldn't have rushed things. I think it would have been okay for me to wait those extra seconds for the next contraction and to push the body out, because the contraction will vary like a minute apart. And I also have this feeling that sometimes the health professional, they just want to move fast to get things over so that there's no complication. But to me, it's better to go slow and safe than too fast. So that was just the only thing I would do differently in the next birth, is to just use the rhythm of the contraction, and don't play with it. Don't try to rush it, especially at the end. But the baby came out perfect. She was healthy. She was fine. She didn't no issue with her when she came out. We took her on. We already had said that we wanted them to delay clamping of the cord to wait for the placenta to keep pulsing. And the placenta 5 minutes later came out on its own, so she didn't have to give me any no Pitocin, no additional medication. She didn't have to reach for her bag. And then the doctor came. We waited for the placenta to finish the pulsing, and this is very important. The pulsing, that you get as much blood from the placenta to your baby, is important to prevent things like anemia and iron deficiencies. Now there are studies that show that this delayed clumping alleviates symptoms of anemia as well, or iron deficiencies in babies. So that's why we wanted for them to do that as well. We also had told them that we wanted to keep the placenta, and my husband was going to cut the cord. So once we did the delayed cut cording. He cut the cord. After that, I went to take a shower, and then I came back. We had taken off the top sheets of the bed and the protector and all of that. The midwife had helped clean that up, and then I was able to rest in the bed with the baby. And then my son came in to see the baby. My parents came in. My brother, everyone came to see the baby, welcome her. I was able to take also a little quick nap. The doctor had already left with one of the midwives, and the French midwife stayed with me. She stayed a few hours just to make sure that I was fine, and that the bleeding was moderate, also well, or finished or whatever. And I was fine. I was perfect. And then she left, and it was just us, the family. Then my brother brought me some food because he had made some tele food that I ate. It was just a wonderful moment. And my daughter she was born with so much hair on her head, curly hair, just like my grandmother. And it was just such an incredible moment. And I would just look at my husband and say, we did it. We wanted this home birth, and everything went so well and perfect. It couldn't have been better. I think actually it went better than what we expected. The only thing that I regret not having it was filming it, so I could look back at it, because in the moment you're so into the moment that you can't really be conscious of everything around you. So some of the stuff I asked my husband what was going on over there, what the baby looked like when the head came, and I think for the next home birth I will have to video it, not necessarily to share with people, but just to have that footage for myself. I hope my story inspired you, if you are eligible for home birth, to really think about it. And I did this in Africa, and I think if you can do a home birth here, you can do it anywhere. And yeah, that's most of the story. Some of it I'm keeping in terms of some of the spiritual aspects, some of the things that's going to be in the course or in an additional video in this series. But of course, if you have any other questions about the home birth, my preparation, I'll have a video on the tools that I use to prepare myself mentally and physically for the home birth. I was also every night for the last trimester doing exercises every single night to make sure my perineum will be stretched, because I didn't have any significant tearing. I only had a little bit that was superficial, so I didn't feel any pain. I didn't have to recover from that. Aside from nursing her the first night and then being up every 2 hours to nurse her, I really didn't have any ailment or anything else. So it was very, very smooth. And I think part of it is the preparation that I made. Of course, my health condition at the time, so the health condition that I was in when I started the pregnancy, and then all of the preparation that I did. And my my doctor said to me that he never had a patient like me. When I was explaining to him my nightly routine with the exercise that I was preparing for the birth and the breathing exercise that I was doing to make sure there's enough oxygen and things like that, I mean, he was very happy. He was just like, well, you know, if all of my patients could prepare like this, it would be great and smooth. And I think this is becoming part of a really developing as a passion for me to make sure women are empowered, not just about the things of the world, but about their own bodies and understanding their bodies and understanding the symbiotic relationship that you have with this baby, that you are both working together. It's not the baby against you or you against the baby. And for any ailment and things like that that you may go through during the pregnancy, because for me, the moment I started eating what the baby was telling me, the nausea went down. I was able to eat enough, not in small quantities, but it was enough for me to feel satisfied and for the baby to develop beautifully. So I think sometimes even if you develop a disease or something like that, talk to that child that's within yourself. Try to know and be open to know who is that child that's coming and what that child can give you, can teach you. Be humble yourself enough so that you can be taught by this baby that's coming. And this baby is really a soul, an ancient soul. In my tradition, there's no such thing as a brand new baby. The body may be small like a newborn, but the soul is an incredible soul with tremendous knowledge. And the baby is here to teach us. You know, they often say that the mother is the first teacher, but truly the child is the first teacher, because the child is teaching you to be patient, is teaching you about yourself, about things about yourself that you never knew. And that's why each child is teaching you something about yourself that you didn't know. And for me, it showed, because my first son, I thought I would need a peridurals, and I didn't. I thought I wouldn't be strong enough to go through all that without medication, but I was strong enough, and that's one of the things that he gave me that strength. I also didn't know if my baby would listen to me, but when I said to him, you know, I'd rather you come out without them doing any sort of intervention, next day he came. So it really built things like, and my baby through the dreams, if you watch the other video, he prophesied a lot of things about our relationship, about what he was coming to do, and what some things that will happen in the future that he already prepared me for by telling me in those dreams. That's why for me, I'd say the dreams are one of the best tools that you have to understand your past, your present, and prepare for the future. And that's also what happened with this particular baby. She was telling me what she needed in order to grow and be a healthy baby. And when I tell you, this is not just about having a healthy in the common health sense. It's about having a baby that's emotionally right, that's emotionally, physically, and spiritually to their best. If I in other video, I'll tell you. Yeah, I keep this for I keep this for another time, because I see the video is being so long. But just to say that when you prepare beautifully, not only will the baby be healthy, but you will see this baby do things that you thought are incredible, that will make your jaw drop. And for me, I've seen it with my first pregnancy, my first child, and I'm seeing even more with this one. Especially this one, from the date she was born, the year of the dragon that she's born, and some of the what do you call it? Some of the strength that she's already showing in so many different aspects of her. And that pushes me to make sure that I'm prepared in all of the ways I need to, as her mother, to be able to guide her and provide her the things that she needs to succeed and fulfill her purpose, because she has a purpose. So I'm going to leave you here, and of course, if you have any questions, please leave them below, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.